The apartment residents knew him well. Quiet, humble, a man who knew his job. But when the terror threat came in, the first thing he did was pull out a case he hadn't touched in 30 years. Inside, next to EOD kit, was a note he could never forget. Initial success or total failure. Welcome to the last stand. Have you or your family members served in the military? Share your experiences in the comments. We're starting this powerful story now. Everyone at Riverside Apartments knew Thomas. 68 years old, gray hair, always dressed neat and clean. He'd been the building superintendent for 5 years. Came to work at 7 a.m. sharp, left at 6 p.m. The residents respected him because Thomas could fix anything. Leaky faucet, blown fuse, broken elevator, he handled it all himself. Never complained, never asked questions, just did his job. Very reliable guy, said Mrs. Henderson, the retired teacher from the 3rd floor. But real quiet, never talks about himself. The other residents felt the same way. Good man but mysterious. Nobody knew where Thomas came from, what he used to do for work, whether he had family. He was just there. Thomas had odd quirks that people noticed. Like the way he fixed machinery. When the apartment's old generator broke down, everyone was thinking about calling a repair service, but Thomas said, "I'll handle it." And he did. But he acted real strange while doing it. First he'd walk around the machine for a long time, then put his ear to it and listen, then start taking it apart very slow and methodical. Like the machine might explode or something. "Why's Thomas so careful?" asked Mr. 2. Garcia from the 7th floor. "Haste makes waste," Thomas had said. "Every detail matters." Another quirk. During lunch breaks, he'd go down to his workshop in the basement. While other supers smoked outside, he'd tinker with old machines, the apartment's busted radio, broken clocks, electrical appliances. But he'd work on them real carefully. Like he was solving a puzzle. He'd examine each part, calculate where it went, then put it back together real slow. Thomas's strangest thing, his obsession with electrical systems. Every Monday morning, he'd check all the apartment's electrical panels. Routine maintenance, he'd tell Sarah, the front desk clerk. But this wasn't routine. It was detailed. He'd examine every wire, check if anything new had been added, look for different connections. "Thomas, why such detailed checks?" Sarah asked once. "Electricity's dangerous, Sarah. Small mistake causes big problems." Another weird behavior, he'd watch strangers coming to the building real carefully. When repair guys came, delivery drivers, even pizza delivery, Thomas never missed them. "Is this guy paranoid?" whispered Jenny, a young resident. But Thomas wasn't paranoid, he was just careful. One day the apartment's electrical system completely shut down. All the residents panicked, started calling the power company. But Thomas stayed real calm. Like he'd been expecting something like this. He went to check the main panel in the basement. 20 minutes later when he came back, the problem was fixed. "What happened?" Sarah asked. "Connection problem. It's handled." But Mr. Garcia had watched Thomas later. When he looked at that panel, he acted real strange, like he was a cop or something examining a crime scene. "Sarah," said Mr. Kleiss. "Garcia, Thomas knows a lot about electricity. Wonder where he learned it." Sarah shrugged. "Don't know. I asked once, but he never answered." As weeks passed, Thomas's behavior got more and more noticeable. Like his conversations with Jim, the night security guard. When Jim kept watch around the building late at night, Thomas would sometimes join him. "Thomas, why do you always ask questions about building security?" Jim asked. "I'm curious. Security's important. But you're the super, not security." Thomas paused. "Everyone's safety concerns everyone, Jim." This answer surprised Jim. Because most people didn't care about security. But Thomas talked like he had real experience with this stuff. Another day, Sarah was on the phone with a friend, talking about the apartment's security systems. Thomas heard her, came over. "Sarah, you know how many exits this building has?" 2? 7. Main entrance, back door, fire exit, basement, garage, roof access, and emergency window. Sarah was surprised. "How do you know all that?" "Part of my job," Thomas said. But Sarah thought about it later. Why would a super need to know all that detail? There were strange things in Thomas's room that Sarah noticed. One day while cleaning, she saw weird drawings on his desk. Apartment floor plans, electrical schematics, even detailed maps of the area around the building. Thomas, what are these? Thomas quickly gathered the papers. Work-related notes. But they're so detailed, like you're some kind of engineer. I just like being careful, Sarah. But Sarah was suspicious. These weren't simple super notes. They looked professional, detailed. That evening, she mentioned it to Mrs. Lang. Henderson, there's something strange about Thomas. Strange how? Like he's someone else, he knows too much stuff. Mrs. Henderson thought about it. I noticed too. That man's not your average super. But who is he? Thursday morning, Thomas came to the apartment earlier than usual. 6 a.m. Sarah hadn't even arrived yet. Jim, who reviewed security camera footage, noticed this. Thomas had gone straight to the basement. Normally, he'd clean the lobby first. Strange, Jim thought. Why'd he change his routine? Even stranger, Thomas stayed in the basement for 45 minutes. Normally, 15 minutes was enough. That day, there was weird tension in the apartment. Thomas kept checking his phone, looking out windows, constantly checking his watch. Thomas, you okay? Sarah asked. I'm fine. Just one of those days we need to be careful. What do you mean? Thomas looked at her. There was something in his eyes Sarah had never seen before. Seriousness, but also experience. Like he'd been through tough situations before. Nothing, Sarah. Just be careful today. Friday morning, Thomas was very different. First, he'd brought out that old case from his workshop. Sarah saw it while cleaning. Long, metal, old but solid looking. Thomas, what's this case? Old stuff, Thomas said, but his voice was different, more serious. Second strange thing. Thomas checked all the electrical panels again that day. 3 times. This wasn't normal at all. Third thing. Thomas's phone kept ringing, but he never answered. Just looked at the screen, then hung up. Why don't you answer? Mr. Garcia asked. Not important, Thomas said, but his expression said something else. That evening, when Thomas was leaving, Sarah said, Thomas, if there's a problem, you can tell us. Thomas stopped, looked at her. For a long time, he didn't say anything. Then, Sarah, sometimes people leave their past behind, but sometimes the past comes back. What do you mean? Be careful tomorrow, and if anything strange happens, find me. Sarah got chills. There was something in Thomas's tone she'd never heard. Authority. Tuesday morning at 9:30 a.m., this call came to the apartment. There's a bomb at Riverside Apartments. It'll explode in 2 hours. Evacuate the building. Sarah dropped the phone. Her heart stopped. Thomas was in the lobby at that moment. When he heard Sarah's voice, he ran. What happened, Sarah? Bomb. Bomb threat. Sarah was shaking. And at that moment, Thomas completely changed. His expression, his posture, his tone, like he'd become a different person. Calm, focused, decisive. Sarah, call 911. Right now, I'm checking the building. But Thomas. Now Sarah. There was such authority in his voice that Sarah grabbed the phone without thinking. Thomas ran to the basement, got that old case. Inside were things. Metal tools, electronic devices. Thomas. Sarah yelled. What is this? Thomas turned to her. That old Thomas wasn't in his eyes anymore. This was someone else. Sarah, I'm Thomas Miller, former bomb disposal specialist, and I'm gonna protect this building. Sarah froze. What? What do you mean? I worked 25 years in Army EOD, explosive ordnance disposal, bomb squad. Thomas was pulling out equipment, metal detector, wire cutters, analysis devices, but you're the superintendent, after I retired. But today, I'm EOD again. Police arrived at that moment. 2 young officers in a panic. Sir, you need to evacuate the building. Thomas turned to them. I'm Thomas Miller, former Army EOD technician, 25 years experience, starting my sweep now. One officer, Sir, bomb squad's gonna handle this. We don't have time to wait for bomb squad. I'm starting now. The authority in his voice silenced the cops. This old superintendent was someone else. Thomas began systematically sweeping the building. With his metal detector, he started in the basement. Electrical panels, water pipes, ventilation systems. His 25 years of experience kicked in. He knew where bombs could be placed, which points would be chosen for maximum damage, which systems would be targeted. He found nothing on the first floor, same on the second, but on the third floor, something caught his attention. Next to Mrs. Henderson's door, in the electrical panel, there was a small change. A new wire, bright and clean, like it had been added in the last few days. Thomas looked closer. This wire didn't belong to the building, and it was connected in a very strange way. His heart raced, but his hands stayed steady. He wasn't unfamiliar with this sign. Thomas opened the electrical panel. What he saw inside surprised even his 25 years of experience. Professional work. Plastic explosive, digital timer, complex wire system. This wasn't homemade. This was military grade, and the timer was running 1:23:45. 1:23:44 1:23:43. An hour 23 minutes left. Thomas pulled out his phone, called police. Found a bomb. Third floor, electrical panel. Don't come near. Call SWAT's bomb squad. Sir, get away from there. No, I'm staying here. Someone needs to keep watch. Thomas photographed the bomb, examined the wires. He'd seen this system before, in Iraq, 2003. Very similar design. But something was missing. This bomb was too complex. Why? Then he understood. This was a decoy. The real bomb was somewhere else. Thomas started sweeping the entire building again. But this time he was looking for something different. The third floor bomb was a distraction tactic. The real bomb had to be somewhere else. And the most logical place. In the basement, where the main electrical systems were. The building ran entirely on electricity. Elevators, security systems, fire alarms. Thomas went back to the basement. This time he searched not with the metal detector, but with his eyes, with an EOD specialist's eyes. And he found it. Hidden behind the main electrical panel, inside the wall, a huge plastic explosive, big enough to completely destroy the building. Timer, 0:47, 12:47 minutes left. Thomas called police. Found the second bomb. This is the main one. In the basement. Evacuate the building immediately. Sir, wait for bomb squad. How far away is bomb squad? 30 minutes. Thomas looked at the screen. 0:46:23. We don't have time. Thomas pulled out that old note. Initial success or total failure. These words he'd written 25 years ago were coming to life again. He washed his hands with warm water, regulated his breathing, remembered his old procedures. First rule, no panic. Second rule, document everything. Third rule, slow and careful. He photographed the bomb, drew the wire diagram, examined every connection point. This bomb was complex, but familiar. Like the bombs he'd seen in Iraq. Same hand, same technique. 0:34:17. Thomas identified the first wire. Red wire. But this was a trap. If they cut the red wire, the bomb would explode faster. The real wire was blue, main power cable. But first he had to make it safe. Thomas took the wire cutters from his old equipment. His hands weren't shaking. His breathing was steady. 25 years had passed, but nothing was forgotten. First step, cut the security wire. Second step, isolate the main power cable. Third step, disable the timer. 0:28:23:28 minutes left. Thomas cut the first wire. The bomb was still active. He cut the second wire. The timer was still running. 0:25:47. Then he realized this bomb had a double failsafe system. It had two timers. He had to find the second timer. He looked deeper. And there, buried inside the plastic explosive, was a second system. This was a more sophisticated system, hidden, well camouflaged. 0:22:15:22 minutes. Thomas began extracting the second timer. This was very delicate work. Wrong move could cause the bomb to explode instantly. Sweat drops were gathering on his forehead, but his hands were steady. Slowly, centimeter by centimeter, he exposed the second system. 0:18:33:18 minutes. The second timer was in front of him. This was a more difficult system. 3 wires, yellow, white, black. If he cut the wrong wire, the bomb would explode instantly. If he cut the right wire, the system would stop. But which was right? Thomas searched his old memories. He'd seen this system before. In Iraq, 2003, at a school, and he remembered. Yellow wire was the trap. White wire was from power sources. Black wire was the real one. 0, 12, 47, 12 minutes, 47 seconds. But something bothered him. This system was slightly different. Wire colors were the same, but the connection style was different. What if he was wrong? What if the system had been modified? 0, 10, 15, 10 minutes. Thomas took a deep breath. He had to trust his 25 years of experience. After 847 successful missions, this would be the 848th. 0, 8, 38 minutes, 30 seconds. Thomas held the black wire. Was he sure? 100% sure? He'd never made such a critical decision in his life. Not just his own life, but the lives of 47 innocent people were in his hands. 0, 5, 47, 5 minutes, 47 seconds. Thomas positioned the cutters, held the wire at exactly the cutting point. 0, 3, 15, 3 minutes, 15 seconds. Initial success or total failure. These words echoed in his mind. For 25 years, at every critical moment, he'd remembered these words. 02, 02 minutes. Thomas checked one last time. Was the wire right? Was the angle right? Was the cutting point right? 01, 31 minute 30 seconds. He took a deep breath. 01, 01 minute. God, I hope I'm making the right decision. 0, 45, 45 seconds. Thomas cut the wire. The timer stopped. 0, 37. The bomb was neutralized. Thomas sat on the floor. His hands started shaking. The adrenaline effect was wearing off. After 25 years, he defused the most difficult bomb of his life. 848th successful mission. He picked up his phone. Bomb neutralized. Building is safe. 10 minutes later, bomb squad arrived. Thomas met them. Sir, where's the bomb? There were 2. I neutralized both. The bomb squad leader looked at Thomas. Who are you? Thomas Miller, retired EOD technician, 25 years service. What unit? Army EOD 1975, 2000. The commander saluted. Sir, you saved this building. Thomas nodded. Just did my job. The SWAT commander examined the bombs. This is professional level work. Very advanced systems. Yeah, said Thomas. Someone well-trained made these. How did you defuse them? Thomas smiled. 25 years experience. And some luck. The bomb squad specialist was amazed. Sir, I couldn't defuse these systems in 20 minutes, because you've never seen these systems before. I have. Iraq, 2003. At that moment, everyone understood. This old superintendent wasn't just a retired soldier. He was one of the legends among EOD specialists. That evening, the police station called Thomas to a special meeting. Police chief, FBI representative, bomb disposal unit commander. Mr. Miller, said the police chief, you saved this apartment building and 47 innocent people. The FBI representative added, this was professional level work. Thank you. Thomas bowed his head. Just did my duty. No, sir, said the bomb squad commander. You became a hero. The news spread to media. Retired EOD specialist prevents terror attack. Thomas didn't give interviews, but his story spread. The apartment residents were shocked. Our superintendent? That quiet guy? He defused 847 bombs. Mrs. Henderson, I always said there was something different about that man. That evening, all the residents invited Thomas to dinner. Mr. Garcia stood up. Thomas, we're grateful to you, and we apologize. We never really knew you. The next week, Thomas's life changed. He wasn't just a superintendent anymore, he was a hero. But the most important change, he wasn't hiding anymore. Thomas, said Sarah, why didn't you ever tell us? Because the past should stay in the past, but sometimes the past comes back. The police department offered him a consulting position. Thomas accepted. Weekends, he started teaching bomb awareness to young officers. Remember, he'd tell them, patience saves lives. Thomas Miller wasn't just Riverside Apartments superintendent anymore. He was his community's protector, because he'd learned, being a hero isn't about wearing a uniform. It's about doing what's right when the moment demands it. Every morning when he came to work, he still did the same tasks. But now everyone knew who he was, and most importantly, Thomas wasn't running from his past anymore. He carried it with pride. This story teaches us, the ordinary people you see around you may have extraordinary pasts. Have you ever learned that someone you knew had an unexpected talent? Share in the comments. If you enjoy these powerful stories, don't forget to subscribe to the Last Stand channel, because sometimes the greatest heroes are hidden in the quietest people.